Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you another video. This time we're going to be giving my updated top 10 favorite characters of the 100 on the CW. Did a video earlier about the Penny Dreadful Volume 1 comic, so go take a look at that. But also, Happy Easter, guys, whether you celebrate it or not. Have a good Sunday, and I guess this is what I'm doing to celebrate. Yeah, I did do a top 10 favorite 100 characters video a while ago, but it's been a while. My my feelings have changed a bit. Characters have gotten better in my eyes, others have sort of dwindled a little bit. And, stories just progress differently, so, naturally, like with any show you're really into, I think it's good to sort of, think about that again from time to time. I got a new 100 poster, by the way. It's a little bit smaller than I would have liked, but I just really like the design of it. It's right above my Penny Dreadful one there. Of course, Lexa featured pretty prominently. Then, of course, the 100 logo, and then the original 100, falling in the sky right there. It's a custom-made poster off of a site called Redbubble. I've ordered from them a few times now. That's where I got my Vampire Diaries Catherine shirt, too. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. And I didn't get rid of my Vikings one either. It's right over there. But, I'm not going to mess with the camera right now. But, 100's just a show I more actively talk about anyway, so I kind of wanted to put 100 there. But, yeah, I think you can still tell what it is, so it looks good. But anyway, before we get into my actual top 10, I want to sort of give kind of my honorable mentions, but also just address characters I know people would wonder why they aren't on here. One is probably Thelonious, Thelonious Jaha. I did really like him in the first 2 seasons. He still played well. Isaiah Washington is very consistent in the role as far as performance goes. But, I just feel like they stretched out his whole, being under control by the AI thing, and now with, they've just sort of kept him at this standstill in the story for a little bit too long, I think. He's starting to come around a little bit now, sort of, helping out with the plans to, save everyone. But I just think he had a more interesting arc in the first couple seasons, losing Wells, and sacrificing himself, which is why they originally named, their camp, Camp Jaha. But, he's just become less interesting to me, writing-wise. But, I still like him. I still appreciate Isaiah Washington and such, but... And then we have Monty, Christopher Larkin. He does a good job. He's a likable character. I do like having him around. I don't really have any issues with him, really. And you could argue he's gotten a bigger and bigger role as it's gone, from what he had to do with his mother, to his relationship with Harper now. Harper's another character. I like her. She's fine. We just need more with her to really, put her among these other characters, I think. But Monty, he's been around since the beginning. He's still sort of a comic relief, but he's really smart, too. And he's sort of had to go into this darker place that, a lot of them have had to over the seasons. But, again, nothing wrong with him, just doesn't really measure up to the other characters to me, at least personally. I can see why others would like him so much, though. And Jasper. I did really, really like Jasper in the first 2 seasons. He probably would have easily been in the top 10. But, just what they did with him. I understand his perspective of what happened with Maya and everything, how he feels. But they've just really stretched out his attitude, way too long over it, he's become really frustrating, really annoying, and we all want him killed off at this point, which is unfortunate, but, it's true. Just a character I don't really like too much anymore. He just really just comes in to complain and, get under Clark's skin, basically. So yeah, Jasper, I guess sort of a dishonorable mention for now. Hopefully they redeem him somehow. I guess at one point they're planning on having him commit suicide or something like that. Which of course is dark, but I don't know. Okay, but Jasper sort of a dishonorable mention, although Devin Bostick does a good job. Again, everyone does a good job on the show. Another one people will be pretty surprised isn't on the list is Octavia. I know a lot of people really like Octavia, and I appreciate her character in certain regards. Marie Avagopoulos, she does a fine job. But she's sort of like Carol for me on The Walking Dead. I appreciate her development to a certain extent, but her becoming as skilled and like with combat as she is, I haven't really bought into. Like sort of the way Carol is capable of going all Rambo on The Walking Dead, sort of without explanation of how she became so skilled with weapons. Although I would say Octavia is a little bit more developed in that regard because she's trained, with Indra and everything. But she's just, again, it's just a case of the writing coming off a bit annoying for me with the character. And I guess I just don't buy into her as much as others. There's other female characters on the show I bought more into their skill and talent, but Octavia's just not one I'm really crazy over. Indra is another actual honorable mention, though. I do like her. I think the actress has done a good job throughout. Good that we still have her around, but again, I just like all the other characters so much more. And Abby, she's never going to crack the top 10 for me. She was very frustrating in the first 2 seasons. And third season, first 3 seasons, but during the third season and this season, she hasn't been as bad to me. She's gotten a little bit better, but she's sort of a bit dull character-wise. But yeah, so let's get into the actual top 10, shall we? My 10th favorite character on the show is going to be Lincoln. Of course, played by Ricky Whittle. Of course, I'll bring up a picture right here. Yeah, number 10 is going to be Lincoln. Really liked him while he was on the show. I was surprised when they killed him off in season 3. In a way, you sort of need deaths in stories like this and shows like this, like Game of Thrones, like The Walking Dead. You sort of need things like this to sort of just remind you of how bad or how realistic it is to the world they're in. But I know there's some behind the scenes controversy with him and the creator Jason, or the main guy behind the show, Jason Rothenberg, supposedly. I don't know all the details about it, and I don't know either of them personally, obviously, so I can't say one way or the other. But if he was sort of like forced off the show in any way, or if he actually wanted to stay on to do more with the character, it's unfortunate. But he was definitely really good to have around while he was on, and it was weird that he didn't get much to do in Season 3. I could have definitely seen him going on for quite a while longer, if not throughout the whole show. But yeah, number 10 is going to be Lincoln. Nothing bad to say about him, really. Number 9 is going to be Finn, played by Thomas McDonnell. We only seen him in the first season and half of the second. But he's a character I've actually looked upon more fondly as the show's gone on. At first I sort of thought of him as, sort of this like stereotypical, sort of dull, like good guy, male lead. But as the show's gone on without him, he died pretty early on, like I said, halfway through season 2. I do think his death did something good for the show, though. I do think it was one of those things that, they pushed the Clark character forward over it. I think it did something good for the story, unlike the Lincoln death. But yeah, over time, I've just seen him as more than that sort of good guy, cute boy type of character. Thomas McDonnell did a good job acting-wise, but also I really liked his final, sort of arc, where he was looking for Clark and him turning to a darker side of himself. I thought that was actually done really well and portrayed really well. And, I just sort of miss his cool-headedness, sort of his ability to reason. I think he could have came back around somehow if he had lived on. But at the same time, like I said, I think his death actually did do something good for the story, for the Clark character especially. But yeah, so number 9 is going to be Finn. Number 8 is actually going to be Murphy, played by Richard Harmon. He's become something of a fan favorite on the show, and I can see why. He started off as like the biggest dick, on the show, besides Bellamy early on. But yeah, he was probably always the biggest dick. But he's developed really well. Towards the end of season 1, sort of season 2, especially season 3, we've seen other sides to him. And over time, he's become like one of the smartest and most sort of head on his shoulders characters on the show, in my opinion. He's become actually quite a bit more trustworthy compared to other characters. He's definitely capable. He's very clever, and he still, of course, can be very. I don't know if I want to say brutal, but he still does what he has to. Surviving with his girlfriend right now and everything. But yeah, he's become a much more integral character on the show than I ever thought he would be. Richard Hartman does a good job, and I've really liked his whole arc so far. So yeah, number 8 is going to be Murphy. And number 7 is going to be Anya, played by Dichen Lechman. I probably just butchered her name, but she was in the first season, a little bit into the second season of The 100. I really like her as an actress. I really especially liked her as a character named Surin on the U.S. version of Being Human on Sci-Fi, and it was a lot of fun to see her on here. And she was Lexa's mentor, as we found out later. I would have liked to actually seen some of that, but just knowing that she mentored Lexa and they had a close relationship, says a lot. But I just think her arc, as short as it was kind of interesting. It was pretty compelling in my opinion. Not just because I like the actress, but I think it was actually pretty good writing wise. And see her eventually gain sort of a respect for Clark after their sort of brutal fight in the mud in season 2, which is really awesome, by the way. I even want to go back and watch that fight now because it was just so brutal. One of the most brutal things early on, I think, in the show. It kind of set the bar for what those types of confrontations could be like on the show, I think. And Clark helping her out of Mount Weather and everything, then her eventually agreeing to negotiate some sort of peace, only to get shot and killed was very unfortunate. But still, at last scene she had with Clark, sort of agreeing to it. Then that handshake they had done, I thought was a really nice, full circle type of thing for her. So yeah, I haven't really forgotten her on the show. I never will. So yeah, number 7 is going to be Anya, and number 6. This might surprise some people, but my 6th favorite character on the show. This one is really close with between her and Anya, but Anya's time on the show is so brief, so I'm going to have to go with number 6 being Echo, played by Tasia Teles. She hasn't been on the show too long either, technically. She did first appear in season 2. Bellamy helped her out of the cage in Mount Weather and everything. She and Bellamy sort of developed mutual respect with each other, but of course she's aligned with the Ice Nation. She betrayed them to Queen Naya. But at the same time, I just think she's a really awesome character with loads of potential. Really, I hope they take advantage of that, because Tasia Teles, she has that perfect look for the character that she's playing. She's obviously attractive. At the same time, she looks actually kind of scary, of course badass, but you have a feeling there's this underlying vulnerability and sort of like panic or feeling of being scared somewhere under there. But she's an excellent warrior. She beat Octavia, which is awesome. I really would have elevated her even further if Octavia was actually dead after that fall. Octavia easily should have been dead, after she fell from the fucking mountain. Excuse my language. Which I think is a misstep in the season so far, that Octavia wasn't actually dead. That's just too over the top even for this show. But nonetheless, still good to see her best Octavia in a fight. And you could see she wasn't happy when she thought she killed Octavia either. She was panicked. She was sort of shocked over her actually using that reflex of hers. But yeah, so she's an excellent warrior. She's very close to King Rowan, or she probably doesn't care about him that much personally, but she follows her loyalties to her people, literally to blood. And I still think there's like I said, there's tons of potential for this character. I hope they keep her around. I'm worried about her for the rest of the season. I just hope they don't do something generic like have Octavia and her fight again, and Octavia somehow manage to beat her and die or something, or her get caught in the radiation. I'm kind of worried about one of those two things. But if they let her character live, which I really think they should, have her go into season 5. It did get it renewed for season 5, so I hope they keep her going into that. I think they could kind of develop her even more. Have her somehow find a way of being more peaceful, have her sort of start to understand it a little bit more. Maybe she gets closer to some of the group when they survive together. I think that could be really interesting. Sort of like when Clark and Lexa went on the run from that gorilla and they sort of grew closer over that. I think they could do something along those lines for Echo here. But yeah, I really like that they've made her more prominent either way though, and I really can't wait to see what they do with her. Holding out hope that they give her some time. But yes, number 6 is going to be Echo. And number 5, I am going with Raven Reyes, played by Lindsay Morgan. Really, really solid character. I've loved having her around ever since the first season. She was one of my favorites. She has a Funko Pop made of her. Just like Clark, Bellamy, and Alexa and such, Octavia too. But Raven, unlike Octavia, I've bought into how tough she is, and she's had a really good story herself. She was still on the arc for a while with Abby, and seeing her from sort of that perspective early on was a little bit different for her. She's wicked smart. She's great with tech. But I have a feeling she can also throw down really well too. We've seen a couple brief examples of that, but I want to see her get more into the nitty gritty of everything. But either way, Lindsay Morgan does a really excellent job with her. We've seen last season when she was under control by Allie. Just Lindsay Morgan's performance and showing that darkness, I thought was really, really good. I'm glad they kept her around for so long. That she's still alive. I doubt she's going to die anytime soon. I see her surviving through the end of the show. Actually, I know there's a point where they were considering killing her off. I think it was sometime in season 1 or early season 2 or something. But I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad she's become such a mainstay and such a core part of the show. So yeah, number 5 is going to be Raven. Number 4, I'm going with Kane, played by Henry Ian Cusick. He could easily be number 3. I kind of debate between him and Bellamy all the time. I will say Kane's been a much more consistent character as far as writing goes. And of course, Henry Ian Cusick, he's had a ton of really good work. He was on Lost, a bunch of other stuff. But Kane's really he's one of the most well-developed characters on the show. Coming off as kind of like a major antagonist early on in the first season, him losing his mother, him sort of finding other ways, sort of becoming more rational, sort of starting to understand his own perspective a little bit more. But how he's come around, how he's become such a leader and a father figure to Bellamy, and we're starting to see him become more of a father figure to Clark. Although I don't like Abby that much, I really do like his relationship with her. I think it still works, even if I don't like Abby that much. He's definitely taken it on a bigger role than Jaha has. I really like what they've done with Kane. He's a man of action too, but he's also very reasonable, but also very capable when he has to be. So yeah, Kane's a character I've grown to really love. I hope he survives till the end as well. So yeah, number 4 is going to be Kane. Number 3 is going to be Bellamy Blake, played by Bob Morley. And I said in my rant about Kane that Bellamy, he had a bit of a frustrating time, in season 3. He lost his girlfriend, so he's sort of sided with Pike, and he went after all the Grounders, no matter which specific group of them they were a part of. Excuse me, just getting a drink. So that could have been a good arc. I understood his perspective on it. Of course, losing someone he cared that much about, of course, and he's always been about trying to be for the good of the group and everything. But I just think they could have shown that relationship develop a little bit more before they killed. I think her name was Gia or something like that. See, that's the thing. I don't even remember her. Now, if he had started a relationship with, say like Raven or something, when she died, then yeah, I'd understand, him lashing out the way he did. I didn't want Raven to die. I'm just saying it felt like a very unbaked, sort of relationship he had with her. So he didn't really care when this person died. So he didn't buy much into his siding with Pike. But nonetheless, still one of the biggest characters on the show. The most probably like the main male character technically. I still like Bellamy a lot. I think he is still one of the most well-developed characters on the show. Coming off like Kane, like a big antagonist early on in season 1, then seeing this underlying vulnerability to him and how that developed. Seeing the flashbacks with him, Octavia, and their mother, and how much respect him and Clark have between them. I think it's done the character wonders. He's still very capable. I think they need to show more scenes of Bellamy kicking ass though, instead of him getting digging down all the time. But still, he's really good to have around. I think his season 4 story has definitely been a lot better so far than season 3. And yeah, so I really like Bellamy. Bob Moore really does an excellent job on the role. So yeah, number 3 is going to be Bellamy. And yeah, into the final 2 here. My second favorite character on the show is gonna be Clark Griffin, played by Liza Taylor. She is the main character on the show, and I love her a lot. She's so consistent in the role. I really like her performance throughout. Of course, she is one of the most developed characters on the show, being the main character. She's one of the best female characters on TV I've seen. Definitely one of the best as far as leads go. And she's very smart, very level-headed. She's capable of a lot. She's underrated physically, I think. And the show just wouldn't be the same without her. They better not swerve us and kill her off at some point. Which I don't think they'll do, but I'm just saying. She's had tons of memorable moments. Like I said with Anya, her relationship with Lexa, it became one of the greatest things of the fandom. And she's a character and a type of character I have loved to follow and will continue to. Just her leadership, how she's become the main leader on the show, really, just because of how smart she is. Because she like Kane has said, she grew up on the Ark, so she's kind of learned from them, and she's kind of had to make similar, really rough, parallel choices to what they've done on the Ark, which is really interesting. Really good writing. But yeah, so my second favorite is going to be Clark. Some people will be shocked that she isn't number 1. I did almost put her at number 1, but there's just one character, I couldn't put under anyone. But nonetheless, Clark Griffin, character I love, like I said, I love to follow and couldn't see the show without. So yeah, number 2 is going to be Clark. So yeah, my absolute favorite character on the show, it isn't that hard to guess. Look who's on the poster. I have a shirt of her that I've worn quite a few times on video. But my favorite character on the show is going to be Lexa, played by Alicia Debnam-Carey. Incredible character. She's probably the biggest fan favorite of the entire series. I haven't seen any other, as much stuff made about her, as much, discussion about her, compared to anyone else. She's definitely the most talked about character ever on the show, I think. Her and Clark's relationship, it started this whole, fandom, the Clexa stuff and everything like that. Her relationship with Clark is really sweet, really impactful. I definitely was behind it. I loved it all the way through. We had some incredible moments together. Alicia Debnam-Carey, she's amazing in the role. She really needs to be given more to do on Fear the Walking Dead. Definitely miss her. Her death is incredibly tragic. And I can see definitely frustrating her just get hit by a stray bullet. But I really love how they brought her back at the end of season 3. Had her rescue Clark, from Allie's people. There's some really amazing sequences there. And her impact on Clark's life is still felt throughout season 4 right now. Lexa, just probably the greatest fighter, the greatest warrior on the show. But at the same time, not blind. She found another way, unlike Echo. I do like Echo quite a bit, but Lexa obviously, is definitely more open-minded. She was willing to see Clark's way, and she came around, and just a really well-rounded character. I think she could be fierce, but with Clark, she had this vulnerability and sort of care for her, that we didn't initially think could be there. And like I said, the show says, life is about more than just surviving, like Clark said. But yeah, so she had plenty of great stuff throughout. She, betrayed, Clark, for, the deal with Mount Weather, but that was to save her people, just like Clark would have done. Her fight scene with Rowan in episode 4 in season 3, Watch the Thrones, was really one of the best fight sequences I've seen in a show. As far as the choreography goes and everything, it was just awesome. All our moments with Clark and booting the guy off of the Capitol, just tons of moments. I just think as much as I love Clark, Echo, Raven, Anya, Kane, Bellamy, everyone else on the show, Murphy, Lexa still just stands out as the most memorable character on the show to me. And I can see why there's been such a community build around her. So yeah, Lexa, my number one favorite character on the 100, no question. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this one. Who are your top 10 favorite characters and why? Excuse my voice crack there. Who are your top 10 favorite characters and why? Definitely miss watching 100. It's on this weird break right now. It's not on this week either. It'll be on next week. It's been on this weird hiatus. I don't really know why. But still, can't wait to watch more of Season 4. Should be good. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this one. And yeah, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.